Warning: this video contains subject matter that may be disturbing to some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. In today's episode, we'll be taking another trip to Canada. As you probably already know, Vancouver is a well-known city in British Columbia, Canada. The beauty of the city and most of the surrounding areas make it an ideal city to visit. It's well known for day trips to the nearby mountains, for snow skiing, and lakes where you can take in sights while sailing. Vancouver is also known for major film production, earning the nickname Hollywood North. Do you remember that show, The X-Files? I do. While Vancouver overall is a beautiful city, there's always going to be a negative side. To be clear though, this video is not a documentary on Vancouver itself, but it does take part in and around the area of Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. Welcome back for another episode of True Crimes and Mysteries with Ricochet Rains. In this episode, we'll be discussing the true story of Canada's most notorious serial killer, Robert Pickton. Robert William Pickton, aka Robert Willie Pickton, was born to Leonard and Louise Pickton, a family of pig farmers in Port Coquitlam, British Columbia, 17 miles east of Vancouver. The Pickton family was a family of 5, including his sister Linda and brother David. His older sister Linda was sent to live with relatives in Vancouver as their parents thought that the family farm would be an inappropriate setting to raise a young girl. Robert and his younger brother David started working at the farm at an early age. Their mother Louise was always demanding, prioritizing the pigs over the brothers' personal hygiene, forcing them to work long hours raising the farm's livestock. She often sent them to school unwashed, in dirty clothes, and smelling like manure. When Robert and David went to school, the other school children would mock them for their dirty, stinky clothes, calling them stinky piggies. You know how kids can be. They can be pretty harsh. It's been reported when Robert was 12, he used his savings of $35 to buy a calf at a livestock auction. Robert became quickly bonded with his calf and would rush home every day after school to take care of his pet. It seems his calf meant everything to him. This was an opportunity for Robert to finally have the companionship he was looking for. The calf was a huge source of happiness and comfort for him. One day, Robert rushed home from school and went straight to feed his calf, as he did every day, except this time the calf was gone. Robert frantically searched the property and asked his family if they had seen his calf. He was told he should check out the barn. Robert immediately ran over to the barn, where he knew the family butchered their livestock. He threw open the large barn doors and discovered his calf had been butchered, hanging upside down by its hind legs and bleeding on the barn floor. His father Leonard, seeing Robert in the state he was in, made things even worse by suggesting that he might feel better if he ate some of the meat from his pet calf. His mother Louise, whom Robert would say he was very close to, tried to give him $20 to purchase another calf to help ease his pain. Robert declined the offer and decided he would never become attached to anything or anyone ever again. After the incident, Robert became more socially isolated, and it's believed the killing of his calf may have contributed to his future as a serial killer. Robert eventually dropped out of school in 1963 at the age of 14 and got a position as a butcher's apprentice, where he learned and perfected his trade. During this time, on the evening of October 16, 1967, when Robert's brother Dave was 16 and had recently acquired his driver's license, he took his father's 1960 red pickup truck from the farm and headed east along Dominion Avenue towards Burns Road. Just ahead of him, on the right-hand side, was one of the neighborhood kids. A 14-year-old boy named Tim Barrett was walking down the road. For whatever reason, Dave accidentally slammed right into him. Dave knew immediately that Tim, who was lying on the road, was badly hurt, and he raced home in a panic to tell his mother what he had done. Louise Pickton stopped what she was doing and hurried over to the place where Tim was laying. After looking Tim over, She leaned down and rolled him to the edge of the deep, muddy waters that ran along the side of the road and pushed him in. Then she simply went home. Pushing Tim into the muddy waters ultimately killed Tim, as the coroner declared his cause of death was an accidental drowning. It was also noted Tim had suffered from blunt trauma. Let's look at this act by Robert's mother, Louise. It's pretty clear from where I stand, and this is only my opinion. Murdering someone was something Robert may have learned from his mother. It's as if their mother, Louise, showed her sons that people can also be treated like one of the livestock. If it's maimed, then put it out of its misery. Like I said, this is only an opinion. Moving forward. In 1970, Robert left the apprenticeship to work full-time at the family farm. Life for Robert appeared to be just as he was, quiet. He started buying pigs at auction and slaughtered them. He regularly visited West Coast Reduction, an animal waste disposal facility, leaving behind barrels of animal waste. Robert also started to frequent Low Track on the east side of downtown Vancouver. This wasn't a nice area of the city, home to drug addicts and prostitutes. Robert, however, felt right at home, picking up women, buying them gifts, and giving them plenty of money. He earned himself a reputation among the working girls as a really good guy. He felt at home at the Astoria Hotel, a pub where he was treated as an equal by the men and women who lined up to do him favors. Things would change. In 1978, Leonard Pickton, Robert's father, became gravely ill with cancer and passed away on January 1st, 1978. He had long been senile, and his health declined rapidly during his last years. In 1979, Louise Pickton was diagnosed with cancer. Willie helped to take care of his mother the best he could. She quickly lost her strength, and Robert took on the responsibilities of feeding, bathing, and dressing her. Louise Pickton died on April 1st, 1979. Robert, as you can imagine, was grief-stricken. After the parents' deaths, the farm was left to Robert and his two siblings. David and Linda claimed they didn't want the farm. David took over the house while Robert ran the farm on his own, living in a remote area of the property in a trailer. Robert was free to run the farm on his own and free to do as he wished. History of the missing. During the late 1980s and 1990s, Vancouver, Canada experienced a significant spike in missing women. Most of the missing women were either sex workers, runaways, or suffered from drug addiction and mental health issues. While some thought these women went missing due to their high-risk lifestyles or by choice, the sex worker community believed most of the missing women were victims of a possible serial killer. The community did its best to protect residents and fellow sex workers by walking in groups or writing down their clients' license plates. However, nothing worked, and the list of missing women grew. Continuing on. By 1980, Robert Pickton worked long hours almost every day of the week on his family farm, butchering animals, packaging them, and storing them in freezers on the farm until they were sold, just as his mother Louise used to do. In 1994, Willie and his brother Dave decided to sell the north end of their farm. The selling of the parcel made them a little over $5 million Canadian dollars. Together, in 1996, Robert and David started a social events business called Piggy's Palace Good Times Society. The business was registered as a non-profit charity. However, it was nothing more than a party palace. These parties were big. Hundreds, sometimes thousands of people attended, including residents of Port Coquitlam. It was also said the Hells Angels were known to show up. In 1997, Robert was charged with the attempted murder of a drug-addicted prostitute, Wendy Lynn Estetter, whom he stabbed several times in a wild melee at the pig farm. Estetter told police that Pickton handcuffed and attacked her on March 23rd, but that she escaped after disarming him and stabbing him with his own knife. A motorist found Estetter beside the highway at 1:45 a.m. and took her to the nearest emergency room, while Pickton sought treatment from a single stab wound at Eagle Ridge Hospital. He was released on $2,000 bond, but the charge was later dismissed in January of 1998. Late in 1998, a task force got their best lead from 37-year-old Bill Hiscox. Hiscox phoned Crime Stoppers saying police should check out a guy named Willie, a sicko who often picked up prostitutes in Vancouver, Burnaby, and New Westminster. He said Willie had bragged he could easily dispose of bodies, and the guy had at least 10 purses and women's identification. Days later, Hiscox phoned again and gave the man's full name of Robert Willie Pickton. Police recorded Hiscox's statement, and a detective accompanied him to the pig farm. After several searches, law enforcement found nothing. The brothers remained persons of interest, but surveillance would not be maintained on the farm. On December 31st, 1998, and after what was presumed to be a big old New Year's Eve party, the Piggy Palace was ordered closed and lost its non-profit status in January of 2000. In 2002, after several reports, the police executed a warrant on the pig farm, finding weapons and personal belongings of a missing woman. Robert was arrested on weapons violations. A second warrant was issued to continue searching the farm. As they searched the grounds, they discovered remains of victims, such as skulls cut in half and stuffed with human hands and feet, DNA from 33 women, bloody clothing belonging to a victim, and a jawbone and teeth belonging to another victim. They also found a .22 revolver with a dildo attached to its barrel, 357 Magnum rounds, 2 pairs of faux fur-lined handcuffs, a pair of night vision goggles, and photos of a garbage can containing the remains of a victim. Pickton claimed that the dildo, which had the DNA of both him and a victim on it, had been meant to function as a makeshift suppressor. The gun also contained a spent cartridge. While in custody, Pickton told an undercover officer posing as a fellow inmate that he had wanted to kill one more in order to bring his victim count to an even 50, suggesting that he is responsible for 49 murders. A video recording of the statement was later used as evidence in his trial.
Something that's fucking worth it. You know? I can make things disappear. I was gonna do one more. Make it even 50. That's what I was stopping people for. Yeah? I'm gonna do one more. Make it be a big battle. Make 5 cents. 5. That's fuck. 5, 0. Fucking have fun. Yeah. This is the best part. I fucking put one. This is a picture. But how many of those would we tell? Would we tell? Yeah. Talk about half. Probably 1/4. Talking about all of them. No. You gotta get 40 equal to list. And that's on the list. I'm gonna have people. The other half is going to go out there. So they got to rush DNA. They can't even put a name to it. How the fuck is that off here? That helps you? Yeah. Right? It looks good on you. But I think we're going to nail it. Maybe we're going to fucking fuck you up on this. I think we're going to nail it across. But if that happens, because we will, 15 other people are going to go down. Fuck, it's going to go down. Yeah. I said they're my friends. Huh? Okay, between me and you, man. Fuck, you know what? That fucking deal you gotta do for yourself. I thought they were my fucking friends. Yeah. We're going to see the interview.
No shit.
As he interviews about the video. And he says, you feel the surge with antifreeze, and you inject yourself, and you're dead better than 10 minutes. He says in the interview, yes. Another phrase is, yeah, I mean, hospice, I think that was stuff on me.
2006, Robert Pickton's trial began. He was charged with 27 murders, to which he pleaded not guilty. No surprise there, right? On December 9, 2007, the jury announced that Pickton was guilty of 6 counts of second-degree murder. He was eventually sentenced with no possibility of parole for 25 years, the maximum punishment for second-degree murder. Though he was convicted of 6 charges in the initial trial, an appeal was made by the British Columbian Crown prosecutors to have Pickton sentenced on the other 20 charges as well. Later, a second trial was cancelled, as it would not be adding any additional charges since Pickton was already serving the maximum sentence under the law. In conclusion, to this date, Robert Pickton is serving the rest of his pitiful life in prison for killing 6 women. Yes, he's still alive, not like his victims. The following is a list of the victims, including those he was not technically charged with. Thanks for watching another episode of True Crimes and Mysteries with Ricochet Reigns. If you found this episode interesting, please like and subscribe. Also, don't forget to share and hit that bell button thingy so you don't miss another free episode.